Man, I just came here to jump in here real quick, man, to put y'all on something, right? I read something in this book. It's called, the chapter in it's called Passage in Emotions, right? It's from a Stoic book, Stoic mindset. For the hot-headed man, keep this thought handy when you feel a fit of rage coming on. It isn't manly to be enraged. Rather, gentleness and civility are more human and therefore manlier. A real man doesn't give away to anger or discontent. And such as a person has strength. And such a person has strength, courage, and endurance, unlike the angry and complaining. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Now, what I got from that is, right, you know, you follow me, if you familiar with me, you know I did a lot of time in prison, right? And I was locked up with a lot of men who let a few seconds or a few minutes of anger cost them decades, right? They end up doing decades over some minutes when you unpack it all, right? Now, I'm not saying excuse disrespect. I'm not saying excuse or let certain things, you know, that go unchecked. However, everything don't gotta be worth it, man. Everything don't gotta go all the way there. You see what I'm saying? It don't always gotta go all the way there. Because you'll look back and you'll think, because you stand, like now we got this thing where we standing on business or we standing on principle, right? It really just be ego a lot of times. A lot of the times it just be ego. It don't be so much as they did this and it has to be this way. Now some things gotta go that way, but a lot of times they don't. A lot of times they don't. Now I've been locked up with some men that they just had to do what they had to do, but a lot of times they didn't, right? And like I said before, I was in there with a lot of men, and I had 3 bunkies. I'll never forget. My first bunkie had like 28 years, and my second bunkie had like almost 60 years, and my third bunkie had like 30 years and was like 20, like 16 or 17 in, right? And at this time, you know, this guy was like, all of them, every last one of them at some point said, man, that wasn't even me, right? And these dudes was killers. Honestly, they was like, these dudes was like, they was thorough dudes. But at some point, they all of them said that at one point or another. So I'm saying that to say this, man, like, yo, be calm, man. Like, you know, think, use your head. Don't be so aggressive. Like, I used to be aggressive, and I used to, you know, like, just do stuff off of just moving and not thinking. Now, I always also been a thinker too, but I was aggressive too, right? I was more so, I'm gonna say this, before, if something happened, at more times than not, I'll move before I think, right? But I still was like it's funny, I thought about it, but sometimes I thought before I move and still move after I thought, right? So what I'm saying is this, man, like, don't get so riled up about certain things. Like, don't let situations control you that ain't gonna matter in a little while. Sometimes you gotta let certain stuff go, man. You gotta let certain stuff slide, especially if you of a certain age. Young, you know, it's tough. You know what I mean? It's you know, people can't tell you nothing. You don't really want to listen. Even some older dudes, you can't tell them nothing. They don't want to listen. But I'm here to tell you, sometimes you have to just think, man. Use your mind. Don't just fly off the handle. Because like I said, I had 3 monkeys, man. They had some long numbers. And what stood out to me is all 3 of them at one point or another, after they got all that time, said, yo, man, that wasn't even me. So, you know, use your head, man. Think.